What if I told you that women are not as mysterious as you think? That their emotions, their impulses, and even their defense mechanisms have cracks, no matter how strong they appear. Every woman has blind spots, and if you know them, you can enter without her even realizing it. You can influence, you can guide, you can dominate. In this video, I'm going to reveal 20 real female weaknesses, psychological, emotional, and social, that powerful men learn to detect and use. This is not about treating women badly. This is not about harming them. It's about understanding the game. Because if you don't use this knowledge, someone else will use it against you. And worse, she may use it herself to play with you. So pay close attention, because we're going deep into 20 female weaknesses no one ever taught you, and how to turn each one into an advantage. To seduce, to influence, or simply to make sure you're never manipulated again. Follow me and get ready, because a woman can never defend herself against what she doesn't know she's revealing. 1. The need to feel unique. Every woman wants to feel chosen, but that's not the real hunger. Being loved is ordinary. Being desired is common. What her ego truly craves is something far more dangerous. To be different, not replaceable, not comparable, irreplaceable. From the moment she's a child, the world whispers the same lie into her ears. You're special, you're unique, you matter. But life doesn't always confirm that story. So she grows up searching, not for love, but for proof. A look, a pause, a presence that says, I see something in you that no one else has ever seen. And that is where your power begins. If you know how to make her believe you've noticed something about her that no one else has ever detected, something even she hadn't fully realized, you don't just attract her, you occupy her mind. Because now she doesn't just feel wanted, she feels revealed. And being revealed is intoxicating. Here's how you use it. You don't chase. You don't impress. You don't perform. You embody a dangerous contrast. A man indifferent to the world, but precise with her. You don't shower her with cheap praise. Compliments are noise. Every man uses them. Instead, you observe. You isolate details that pull her out of the average category. Not, you're beautiful, but the way your mouth twists when you answer, you only do that when you're lying, right? That's not a compliment. That's exposure, and exposure disarms. When she realizes you're not flattering her, not begging, not trying to win, but seeing her with surgical clarity, her mind starts circling you, uncontrollably. She asks herself questions she can't shut off. How did he notice that? Why does he see me so clearly? Who is this man? But here's where most men destroy the spell. They give too much, too fast, too openly. You don't. You let her feel that there are still parts of her you've already detected, but haven't revealed yet, and you let that tension breathe. You say things like, I've already noticed what you do when you feel insecure, but I'm not going to tell you yet. That single sentence does more than 1,000 compliments. It creates a psychological hook, an open loop. Now she wants answers, she wants clarity, she wants you. And without realizing it, something shifts. She starts measuring herself through your perception. She's no longer chasing affection, she's chasing interpretation. She wants to know how you see her. And that's when you become her favorite mirror. Not a reflection, but a distortion that pulls her deeper. Remember this, what feels unique becomes addictive. And what becomes addictive can be guided. Not by force, not by pressure, but by precision. 2. Hidden validation disguised as a complaint. Women don't always ask for attention the way men expect. They rarely say, I miss you, I need reassurance, I want to feel important to you again. That would expose vulnerability. So instead, they disguise the need. They wrap it in irony, in soft criticism, in harmless-sounding complaints. She says, you don't reply to me like you used to, and most men panic. They explain, they apologize, they rush to fix. That's the mistake. Because she's not complaining, she's testing. She's asking a question she doesn't dare say out loud. Do I still matter to you? Can I still affect you? Do you still see me? The complaint is camouflage. The real request is validation. And here's the rule you must understand. You never satisfy this need directly. You manage it. When you justify yourself, you lose position. When you over-explain, you kneel. When you rush to reassure, you surrender leverage. Instead, you respond from emotional control. Calm, grounded, unreactive. If she hints that you're less present, you don't deny it. You don't defend it. You reframe it. You say something like, it's not that I pulled away, I just got used to seeing you strong without me. Notice what happened. You gave her validation, but not the kind she expected. You acknowledged her significance without giving up authority. You didn't chase, you didn't beg, you didn't explain. You made her feel seen without emotionally kneeling. And that imbalance is powerful. Understand this. Every complaint carries information. If you listen emotionally, you'll miss it. If you listen coldly, you'll read her blueprint. Each complaint reveals where she feels insecure, which part of you makes her uncertain, what she's afraid of losing. That's her emotional Achilles heel. And you use that information to adjust presence. Sometimes the answer is closeness, a slight warmth, a calm touch, a grounded reply. Other times, the answer is distance, a calculated absence that sharpens her awareness. Because here's the truth most men never see. The more she complains, the more she reveals what she fears losing. And once fear appears, you decide the direction. If you respond with softness, you dominate gently. If you respond with a mirror, reflecting her emotion without absorbing it, you dominate deeply. A woman who complains is not attacking you. She's asking, do I still belong here? And that question, in the hands of a disciplined man, can be redirected into your game. 3. Arousal, linked to emotional danger. Stability doesn't excite most women. It comforts them. It calms them, but it doesn't ignite them. What truly activates desire is not safety, it's threat. Not physical danger, not fear, emotional danger. The possibility of losing you, of not fully understanding you, of realizing she doesn't have you completely under control. That tension between closeness and uncertainty is what switches on her limbic system. And that's why so many women end up entangled with men who confuse them. Men who never fully give themselves. Men who seem present but not entirely reachable. Because emotional danger stimulates the mind the same way sexual desire stimulates the body. So how do you use this without destroying everything? You play on the edge. You create spaces where she can feel you but can't fully define what you are to her. You come close with intensity, presence, focus. Then you change the tone. Not abruptly, not dramatically, just enough for her to feel the shift. You change the energy. One moment she feels chosen, the next moment she feels uncertain. One moment she feels she has you. The next moment she's not sure if you're still there. And no, this is not manipulation. This is emotional rhythm. Here's the rule. When she settles, you unsettle her. When she becomes hopeful, you become quiet. Not cold, not cruel. Still grounded, still present. But no longer predictable, because desire intensifies when it senses the possibility of loss. Not loss as punishment, loss as risk. Your goal is simple but brutal. Make her want to secure you, but never give her complete security. Certainty kills tension. Tension feeds desire. Of course, this requires balance. If you fall into chaos, random disappearances, emotional instability, inconsistency, you trigger her defenses. She closes. But if you master emotional self-control, something else happens. You install yourself like a drug. She doesn't just want you. She craves the state you create inside her. You become the risk she doesn't want to stop taking. The fire that burns, but never fully consumes. And at this point, something important shifts. She no longer looks for a man who protects her. She looks for the man who makes her feel alive. And that kind of bond doesn't break easily, because she doesn't remember it logically. She doesn't analyze it rationally. She remembers it with her body. And what the body remembers, the mind struggles to release. 4. Fascination with what she can't fully have. A woman can feel attracted to what she likes, but obsession is born somewhere else. She becomes obsessed with what she cannot fully possess. Her desire doesn't grow in certainty. It grows in ambiguity. In that electric contradiction that whispers inside her mind, I have him close. Wait, but he's not completely mine. That tension is not accidental. It's biological, psychological, ancient. This is where the average man destroys everything. He gives himself away too fast, declares too early, becomes emotionally available without mystery. And he calls it honesty. But what is given without tension is not valued, and what is never fully conquered continues to be desired. To use this dynamic, you don't disappear. You partially reveal. You build a fragmented emotional image. You show connection, but never full access. You share moments, experiences, even vulnerability, but you always leave a room she cannot enter, a place she can feel exists, but can't fully read. And that unresolved space becomes her obsession. You don't say everything you think. You don't explain every feeling. You don't declare every intention, you let her intuit. You suggest more than you confirm, because the mind fills gaps more powerfully than it absorbs facts. She should never feel that she completely dominates you, because the fantasy of finally conquering you is far more intoxicating than any clear declaration of love. And something inevitable happens. When she doesn't know if she truly has you, her mind starts to invest. She invests thought. She invests imagination. She invests desire. But most importantly, she invests time. And time is the deepest form of attachment. The more time she spends trying to understand you, decode you, finish the puzzle, the more psychologically trapped she becomes. And at that point, you are no longer reacting to the dynamic, you are shaping the narrative. Ask yourself this: why does the man who never gives himself completely never become boring? Because he never becomes predictable. He becomes irreplaceable. And in the game of attraction, what is irreplaceable is always the thing that can never be fully captured. 5. Attraction to masculine detachment. Most men are taught the same lie, that to seduce, you must be attentive, gentle, always present. That mistake alone kills more attraction than rejection ever could. Those behaviors can create comfort, they can create closeness, but they do not create desire. What excites deeply is contrast, unpredictable contrast, warmth followed by distance, connection followed by restraint, presence followed by silence. The man who truly ignites attraction is not the one who needs her. It's the man who can look at her without hunger in his eyes, who can hold her without begging for reciprocity, who can leave at the exact moment she believes she finally has him secured. That moment, when certainty collapses, does something dangerous to her psychology. It makes her doubt her power, and when a woman doubts her power, desire wakes up. Understand this clearly. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means inner control. It means your interest doesn't control you. Your attraction doesn't weaken you. You can want her without needing her. You can enjoy her without depending on her. And that emotional distance, when paired with moments of intense connection, creates an addictive rhythm. She begins asking herself questions she never planned to ask. Why doesn't he chase me? Why doesn't he melt like the others? Why can't I break him? And right there, without noticing, she starts to compete. And whoever competes for you surrenders psychological ground without realizing it. Apply this with noble coldness. Not cruelty, not neglect, not arrogance, just composure. Hold your center. Learn to withdraw at the exact moment she's about to demand emotional surrender. Don't fulfill automatic expectations. Don't reply instantly. Don't react the way everyone else does. Let her feel that your attention is not earned by beauty, but by behavior. And then something inevitable happens. She stops waiting to be chosen. She starts trying to earn you. And when a woman wants to earn you, you're no longer the one seducing. She's the one who began conquering, without ever realizing the game already shifted. 6. A wounded ego. When she can't seduce the man she wants. Women don't always want the most handsome man, the richest man, or even the most available one. Very often, they desire the man they cannot bend. Not because they enjoy rejection, but because their ego needs proof. Proof that it still has power, that it can attract, that it can seduce, that it can provoke a reaction. Her desire in this moment is not about you, it's about herself. When a man escapes that logic, when he doesn't respond the way she expects, something dangerous happens inside her mind. A fracture, a silent question appears. Why didn't it work on me? And that question doesn't fade, it loops. And that's where obsession is born. Your role here is not to reject her. Rejection creates resistance. Resistance creates defenses. Your role is more subtle. You present yourself as someone who is not emotionally on sale, someone whose interest is not automatic, whose attention is not earned by beauty, by flirting, or by routine seduction. When she throws a hook at you, a provocation, a playful insult, a subtle compliment, a physical hint, you don't bite, you don't rush, you don't mirror enthusiasm, you stay calm, you change the subject. Or you disarm her with a sentence that stops her momentum. I can't tell yet if that's coming from you or from your need to stay in control. You're not attacking her, You're doing something far more destabilizing. You're signaling that she can't read you. And that hurts the ego, but it also activates it. Because now, unconsciously, she has a mission: to make you react the way other men do. She wants you to melt. She wants you to fall. She wants confirmation of her power, and here's the trap she walks into. The more she tries without success, the more emotional investment she makes. Effort creates attachment. Investment creates obsession. The key is modulation. You don't deny her everything, because pure ice only freezes. But you don't give her everything either, because certainty kills desire. You give just enough. Enough warmth to keep her hopeful. Enough distance to keep her chasing. So she never knows if she's winning or losing. And in that ambiguity, her mind doesn't rest. It plays, it calculates, it returns. And here's the final shift. When a woman plays emotionally to win you, she's no longer choosing, she's competing. And the moment she competes for you, the balance of power has already changed. 7. Addiction to the emotional roller coaster. There are women who say, "I just want peace." And they mean it, consciously. But their nervous system tells a different story. Because when you give them calm, predictability, emotional flatness, they get bored. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because their emotional system has been conditioned to chaos. Intense arguments followed by burning reconciliations, misunderstandings that end in sex. Jealousy disguised as passion. This isn't love, it's adrenaline. And the brain doesn't know the difference. It associates adrenaline with attachment, intensity with connection, instability with meaning. That's why so many women become addicted to relationships that feel like a dangerous amusement park. High highs, low lows, and the body mistakes that instability for love. Your advantage is not destroying her stability. That's what weak men do. Your advantage is knowing how to modulate adrenaline without losing control. You don't create chaos, you create contrast. You introduce small ups and downs, micro-tensions, awkward pauses, unexpected silences. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious, just enough to keep her system alert. After an intimate night, don't become more attached, become more reflective, quieter, slower. After a perfect date, say, "I need time to process what I felt," and disappear for a few hours. Not to punish her, not to play games, but to break the comfortable pattern. Because comfort kills hunger, and contrast creates it. Emotional hunger is what creates attachment. You can also use this addiction as an anchor. Whenever you sense she's getting too comfortable, you change the frequency. If she sees you very present, you pull back slightly. If she feels she has you, you introduce mystery. If she thinks she understands you, you show her a version she didn't expect. Not chaos, variation. This is not about cruelty, it's about understanding something crucial. Her addiction is not to suffering, it's to shifts in energy. And the man who controls those shifts doesn't just control attention, he controls rhythm. And whoever controls emotional highs and lows controls desire. Because desire doesn't grow in peace, it grows in movement. 8. Confusing desire with approval. Many women don't actually know who they truly desire. They confuse it. They confuse attraction with validation. If a man ignores her, challenges her, or simply refuses to collapse in her presence, something dangerous activates. Not love, not connection, ego-driven desire. She doesn't want you. She wants proof that she can still move you, that she still has power, that she's still chosen. And this is where most men fail. They mistake that interest for something real. They assume attraction, when in reality, it's insecurity in disguise. And that's exactly where strategy begins. Because here's the truth. You can convert her need for approval into genuine attraction, but only if you don't play the obvious game. Acting indifferent won't work. Every man tries that. Silence without intelligence is just absence. You must be sharper. You acknowledge her without elevating her. You recognize her without centering her. When she throws a test at you, a seductive question, a playful insult, an indirect compliment, a visual provocation, you don't accept the frame, you return it. You give something back, but not yourself. For example, You're dangerous when you know you're beautiful, but don't worry, that's not why I'm here. That single sentence does 3 things at once. You validate her, you disarm her, and then you remove the reward. Now her beauty is acknowledged, but it's no longer the currency, and that's when desire shifts. Because now she wants to know, if it's not my looks, then what is it? Watch closely. The moment you stop feeding her attention, she often becomes more seductive, more playful, more intense, more present. That's your signal. She's not feeling desire, she's feeling withdrawal of validation. And at that moment, you hold the control. You lift her slightly, a glance, a line, a moment of warmth, and then you pull back again. Not cold, not cruel, controlled. This conditions something powerful. She starts associating approval with pursuit, and pursuit with you. Now she's doing the internal work, convincing herself that you're desirable, that you matter, when in reality, she's trying to recover the mirror that once made her feel radiant. And here's the final inversion. When a woman wants you to desire her, she's no longer seeing your value, she's chasing her own reflection through you. And the man who understands this never confuses attention for attraction again. 9. Dependence on digital attention. We live in an era where validation is no longer earned through presence, but through notifications. A vibration, a sound, a glowing screen. That's where confirmation lives now. Many women develop an unconscious dependence on messages, reactions, emojis, on those tiny digital signals that say, I exist in someone's mind. And understand this clearly. Digital attention isn't just attention, it's dopamine, delivered in microdoses, perfectly addictive. If you learn to control the frequency, the tone, and the timing of that attention, you gain something most men never touch. You begin shaping how she perceives you, how often she thinks about you, how much she needs you. Not emotionally, neurologically. So how do you use it? It's simple. You don't become constant. You become strategic. You don't reply in minutes. That kills tension. But you don't disappear for days either. That signals immaturity. You respond when your silence has created questions, not when she's waiting for reassurance. And when you do reply, you never close the conversation completely. You leave space, open doors, ambiguous lines, unfinished thoughts. Because the most powerful message is the one that continues after it's read. That way, her mind keeps talking to you even when you're no longer online. You also learn to alternate rhythm. High presence, then absence. If one day you have an intense, flowing conversation, lower the frequency the next day. Don't explain it. Explanation kills intrigue. Let her feel the shift. Let her notice it. Because the moment she starts wondering, what changed? Why is he quieter? Did I do something? She's already investing, and mental investment always comes before emotional attachment. Here's the truth most people miss. That digital investment doesn't stay digital. It converts. Thought becomes anticipation. Anticipation becomes desire. Because whoever controls notifications controls the narrative. And whoever controls the invisible thread of digital desire can pull the entire body without ever touching it. 10. The need to feel special in your world. One of the most exploitable and most invisible female weaknesses is not the need to feel admired, but the need to feel different to you. Not prettier, not sexier, more important. A woman can be drowning in validation, messages, likes, attention everywhere, and still feel empty if she doesn't believe she occupies a unique place in your mental, emotional, or social world. That emptiness is dangerous and powerful. This desire for distinction is so strong that many women don't compete with reality. They compete with ghosts, your past, your ex, your work, your freedom, your silence. She doesn't want to be one of many. She wants to be the exception. This is where you play with fire, because if you understand this correctly, you can turn that desire into an elegant trap. You don't flatter her, you normalize everything she's used to. Beauty, attention, company. You let her feel that you're accustomed to all of it, and then you pause. You introduce a fracture. You let her feel that something about her interrupts your rhythm. You don't use generic lines. You use surgical language. Not, "You're different." But, "It's not that you're different, it's that you make me different." That sentence does something critical. You don't place her above you, you place her inside your narrative. And being inside a man's story is far more addictive than standing on a pedestal. But here's the part most men are afraid of. Once she feels special, you withdraw the privilege. Not violently, not suddenly, just enough. A little less presence, a little more distance, no explanation, because explanation would give her peace, and peace kills pursuit. Now her mind starts working. Did I lose my place? Am I still different to him? What changed? And here's the truth. A woman who believes she has lost her special position will do almost anything to reclaim it. She invests more. She tries harder. She gives deeper. And while she's trying to recover that place, she's surrendering herself. If you control the sensation of being unique, you don't control her directly. You control the experience she associates with you. And loyalty is never to a person. It's to a feeling. And when you are the only man who can dose that feeling, she doesn't stay because of attachment. She stays because nowhere else feels the same. 11. Trust in the man who calms her at her most insecure moments. When a woman is emotionally shaken by anxiety, jealousy, fear, frustration, or sadness, her psychology doesn't look for answers. It looks for an anchor, someone who doesn't panic with her, someone who doesn't react emotionally, someone who remains solid while everything inside her feels unstable. And if you can become that anchor without judging her, without trying to fix her, without trying to please her, something powerful forms. A silent association. When I'm with him, I feel safe. Not because of what you do, but because of what you refuse to let move you. The secret here is simple and rare. You remain unshakable. When she raises her voice, you slow the rhythm. When she spills over emotionally, you contract your energy. Not cold, not distant, centered. You don't run away, but you also don't drown with her. You don't fully validate the chaos either. You observe, you listen, and then you release phrases that sound ordinary, but rewire her nervous system. You're not crazy, you're just feeling everything at once. Breathe. You're safe, even if nothing feels stable right now. These words aren't romantic. They're anchors. They give her system something firm to lean on when everything else collapses. And once she associates your presence with calm, you become something more than attractive. You become her emotional refuge. But this is where most men destroy it. They stay too long. They try to heal. They turn into therapists. That's the mistake. You are not her therapist. You are her pause, not her crutch. So when the storm settles, you leave. Not dramatically, not coldly, naturally. You don't stay to fix her life. You don't over-explain. You don't linger to be needed. You leave her alone with the calm you gave her. And that's when the real dependency forms. Because now she realizes something unsettling. Her balance returned not because of her, but because of your energy. And once the calm fades, she will want it again. She will seek it. She will return to the source. Because a woman who associates you with peace will unconsciously create chaos, just to have a reason to breathe inside you again. 12. The mask of self-sufficiency that hides a need to surrender. Some women present themselves as untouchable, cold, calculated, focused, emotionally unreachable. They appear self-sufficient to the point of rigidity, but what most men never see is that this mask isn't strength, it's a wall. And behind that wall lives a quiet, dangerous desire to surrender, to someone who won't judge them for finally lowering the guard. They resist, they control, they manage everything. But deep down, they're waiting for a presence strong enough not to be afraid of their intensity. Here, tenderness is useless. Softness won't open this door. You don't lead with affection, you lead with dominant presence, calm, grounded, unaggressive. You don't circle her, you don't flatter her, you face her. Look at her directly, no filters, no hesitation, and then you ask questions that make her feel emotionally exposed. Not invasive, not cruel,